finance a liquor store, you'll finance a casino, you'll finance pork store, and so on, which does not meet the Muslim partners, and you are just buying our share. That's what.
Yeah, that's what's called declining balance ownership, right?
Yeah.
The goal is.
Are you sure you're making 5,000? You don't make 10,000?
Yeah.
So, so they will ask because it was
and actually in the last stretch, the last week of 2024 presidential election, where we have Hillary. Where do you see the future of Islamic financing in the US? And also, what is guidance future or vision for the future generation to continue providing Islamic financing? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode for our podcast. I'm joined by our Guidance Residential Senior Vice President, Mr. Mudhir Qutaish, today with me. It's going to be a special podcast. We'll be diving into his experience with Guidance Residential. And also we're going to talk a lot more about how Guidance Residential came up to be today as the largest Islamic home financing provider in the US. Welcome, Mudhir. Welcome to our podcast. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Abdisha, for first hosting me.
Inshallah.
It will be, I'm looking forward actually for the next hour or so for this broadcast, and I'm looking to learn and have that good discussions and between us, and hopefully that will be a very fruitful discussion for between both of us.
Inshallah. Welcome again. Welcome, Mudhir. Thank you so much for being here. To start, could you share your experience or your journey with Guidance Residential? And also what inspired you to join Guidance Residential? And what kept you passionate for this amazing program that's offered by Guidance?
Yes, absolutely. So currently I'm the Senior Vice President and Division and West Coast Division Manager for Guidance Residential.
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, I have been with the company now for 9 years. And I started actually as an account executive, and I was able to grow within the company.
What is account executive?
Account executive is the the person who's like who connect with the customers and take the applications.
Yes.
And it's like with the regular conventional mortgage, they call it the loan officers. But for us,
mortgage
because
loan
we do
officer.
not provide loans,
Yes.
so we don't call them loan officers. We call them account executives. It's like the salesperson, basically.
I see. Okay. So on that, so how do you hear about giving guidance? I mean, that's the first thing that really comes to mind.
That's actually so. I was approached by one of my friends, and he somehow he used to work for Guidance, and he knows me very well. And I'm all my life in sales. I've been actually doing sales since I was 9 years old. That's what I've been doing. And I'm also very involved in the in our community in the masjid. I served on the board for more than 12 years. MCA, yes, the Muslim Community Association. It's the largest community in North California. And actually, most likely it's the largest masjid in California. Alhamdulillah, it's one of the largest in I think even in the US. At Jummah you will find around 2,500 people praise there and so on. So it's my involvement. I served there as a board member, as a vice president, and the chairman of board of trustees during these times, and so on. So I have been always involved in Islamic work, and that's my passion. Actually, I love working, volunteering in this area. And he approached me. He said that you're a great salesperson, and you are also connected with the community. And I think this job, and I used to work in sales in computer, actually, selling computers and so on in the past. So it's
you got the background for it.
Yeah,
that's good.
So and he said you should consider that. It wasn't right away. Like I said, okay, I'll think about it. And it took me like 2 to 3 months, and then subhanallah, I did the istikhara.
Okay.
at that time. And at that time, the transition from laptops to new mobiles, tablets, and mobiles. I said, maybe it's for me, it's a good time to do that transition and check on it. And worked with guidance and worked with them. And I was presented with a deal and I moved on to the sales. Personally, I think it's the best decision I have made. I'm very glad actually that I did that. Absolutely. It's a really very fulfilling. It's, you know, one of the things about working for guidance is, you know, you just not earning halal money only, alhamdulillah, which is, that's blessing in itself. But you are helping your community to get away from dealing with riba, to bring them and get in to a halal financing. It's like every time you close a customer, you help a community member, or you go and you do seminars. I do a lot of seminars across the masajid and so on. It's like you're educating the community. It's like that message that I personally love and so on. And alhamdulillah, it was very good.
No, mashallah. I mean, knowing you, I know that you have the passion, of course. You know, I see that you're probably one of the hardworking people that I know. Wallahi. I mean, obviously it comes from the passion as well, right?
Yeah.
If you love doing something, you can be working 24 hours. You won't feel like you're working. I'm assuming that is what is the case for you, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's you know, if you are in sales, honestly, and especially in this work, and this, because it's not just regular sales. It's like has to do with educational and so on. You know, you cannot say that I work 9 to 5. That doesn't exist in what you do. It's sometimes you work 12, 14 hours a day, like you continuously, and so on. You get tired, actually, you get collapsed, isn't this? And it is 7 days a week. It's not 5 days a week. It's whenever there is a need, you have to jump in and step in.
I mean, you call this sales, but our job, to be honest with you, as someone who's providing residential financing expert, you are probably a psychiatrist, a financial advisor, family member, because, you know, buying a home, it's subhanallah, you take the blanket of pretty much doing everything for the customer, because as you mentioned, people are buying home itself, probably the largest investment for anyone in America. Actually, nobody buys $1 million product every day. It's the largest investment in your life. And then people get emotional through this process. You know, sometimes, oh my God, am I getting to the right thing? What's going on with me? Am I doing the right thing? They call you probably midnight. You need to be available.
It's you know, when people, they get into these transactions, it's the largest transactions they do as a business transaction they do in their life. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars they get into, and sometimes it's millions of dollars. And how many times you do this? Maybe you buy cars multiple times, you buy clothes, you buy different things, but when it comes to buying a home, it's the largest transactions in your life. And an average American family, they usually buy three times in their life. It's like that's this life circle. So usually, especially if you are a first home buyer, that is definitely.
I mean, if it's second time home buyers,
it's still
exactly a lot of money on stake, a lot of money on the line. People are moving. That's also stress kicks in. It just makes it a little bit stressful situation. So let's dive into a little bit detail about Islamic financing, of course. Guidance Residential, being the largest Islamic financing in the US, being the pioneer in this industry as well, have made home ownership possible for Muslim Americans actually to, you know, achieve the American dream, the halal way, right? So let's dive into a little bit detail, the nuts and bolts of, you know, Islamic financing itself, right? What makes Guidance Residential musharaka contract, right? What makes it different compared to a traditional contract, a traditional mortgage loan offer today?
Absolutely. This is actually a fantastic question, because there is always that misconception of they are the same. Cost is the same, or Islamic finance is more expensive, or, you know,
same rate, or the monthly payment same,
or they do the same things. That
just change the name. That's the biggest misconception.
And that is where I think the confusion comes into part. You know, first I want to say, Islamic finance is not about being cheaper or more expensive. It's about you are following a model that is allowed Islamically to do a business transactions. In the banking industry, what would you do on the conventional mortgage? The way to own a home, you have.
Can you dive in a little bit in detail? So what people say is like, there's few banks available out there offering Islamic financing, right? So I know that Guidance is the only Islamic financing company that actually is not a bank or affiliated with the bank. What is the importance of that? Can you dive in a little bit? What's the difference between the non-banking model and the bank model?
Sure. And actually, I want to say it's not just Guidance, it's not only not a bank. First, it's the only company that is a Muslim-owned.
Absolutely.
That is, I think that is very important. Why I say that? Because Muslim-owned companies, Muslims in general, they care about every single detail when it comes to Sharia compliant. They are not going to cut corners or overlook something because they care. It's like it's embedded in their faith and so on. So they look into the smallest details to make a difference in this. That's number one. Second is definitely we are very proud to be not a bank or subsidiary of a bank. And when we say not a bank or subsidiary of a bank, in the Islamic countries, there is Islamic banks. In the law, in this country, there is nothing called Islamic banks because the law does not allow it to have Islamic banking here is in there. So everything is basically based on riba-based contracts. So even if they are going to come and provide you with, let's say, Islamic contract, and let's assume it's halal 100% and so on, but the bank itself, 99% of their business is based on a riba-based contract. That's number one.
Absolutely.
And then the second is what also they finance, or if you are a bank yourself, you finance also non-permissible items. Islam we're looking for is the customer's value, what they are going for, and we did not want to be part of that. And if you are a subsidiary of a bank, then you're the mother, which is the bank itself. The money goes to that bank, and the bank is going and gonna go and invest that money in riba-based contracts. They are gonna invest it in non-halal product and so on. So this is, I would say, the first thing isn't it comes to that. So purity is the number one drove Guidance to be not a bank or subsidiary. Now the second thing, which is very also important, banks in the United States are not allowed or their subsidiary to own a property
by law, right?
By law. That's by law. There's we actually created a video, and maybe you can share that. And
I mean, if banks could own homes actually in the US, and just so when you think it as a layman person, why would they finance it? They can just buy all the homes and sell it to us.
I
think that's the reason behind it, right?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
When was the last time you went and you saw, for example, Bank of America on this building of apartment, and then they go and they sell it and refinance it? So
if banks could do that, I mean, we're out of it because they have all the money, right?
Absolutely. But that's why the Congress and the Banking Association, they put that rule is like to distinguish between you as a lender, as for the banks, because they are lenders. Their job is to lend money, not to be a real estate investor. Isn't there? So they lend you to build that money. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it. And then, so by law, they are not allowed to own that property. And then they go, that for us was, the second thing. So in order for us as a Muslim contract, I'm sorry, I meant as a contract to be Islamically sound, you have to have two things in the contract, which is assets ownership. And then the second one is a risk sharing. So if I'm a bank, I cannot own that assets, then that is missing from what I'm doing.
I see.
And then if I'm risk sharing, if I'm not taking a risk on that property, that can be also a problematic is in there. So that's why we went with the musharaka contract, and also with not being a bank, so we can own that property.
I see.
We can be part of that ownership. So we can take the risk.
This is to make it
And then we
truly
take
Sharia
the
compliant. You have to
100%
own it, right?
It's not like 50% Sharia compliance, not
Yes.
60% Sharia compliant. You want to be 100% Sharia compliant.
I see. So in a nutshell, that what you're saying, basically, I think two things, right? First, you mentioned that the value, because a bank, a conventional bank, looking at benefits, they say, oh, there's Muslims in the US, they need a mortgage.
Yeah.
Oh, let's open a branch and make profit from them.
Yeah.
Or come in as a solution. Like, hey, there are a lot of Muslims in America. We want to give them an authentic financing option. I think I understood that from what you said, the value of the foundation of the company itself is different, right?
Absolutely. And it's like you believe in purity and compliance of benefiting the country. Let me give you a skill example.
Okay.
Banks, they go and they finance everything legal. Okay, so anything legal, they will go and finance it. But they really don't care about the value of what they're financing. So give an example. 4 years ago, marijuana was illegal.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
So no banks will finance it.
That's true.
Now what do they do?
Well, it's every
all dispensary.
It's financed. Yeah,
It's
of course.
Banks.
It's true.
So they know it's gonna harm the community, but they don't care. Liquor stores. In the 60s, in many states, they were not allowed.
That's true.
Now it's all over the place. Casinos, actually, in California, I'm going to say California, was like this. It's the same thing. When it becomes legal, okay, we can make money, so let's go get it. And that's what they look at the Islamic finance. They don't care about the
That's true. That's true.
There's money there. Oh, let me go get it. But they take that profit and they invest it and they continue to feed into their. So I call it as like you are. The banks is literally, it's like the liquor store, and I'm going to buy a Zamzam water from that liquor store, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and now this is the point. That's amazing. It makes sense because you can buy from halal store, halal product, or you can go to a liquor store, buy Zamzam. That's an amazing analogy, mashallah. So interesting. So one thing you mentioned is the musharaka part of it. It's risk sharing and also profit sharing, right?
Yeah.
Guidance is the only organization in the US actually that offers that. So can you explain a little bit more in detail what is risk sharing and what's risk sharing of guidance? Can you explain a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So first, what's the musharaka? What's that model? It means we and with the customer, we go and we agree that we want to buy property from the customer choice. We look at that property and we approve it if it is approved by us. Now, depending on how much each of us puts down payment, that will be his share. So, for example, let's say the customer is putting 10% down payment. That will be his share. And if we finance 90%, then our share will be 90%. And we go in that partnerships.
Yes.
Now that partnerships is the goal from it is the customer to own that property long term after some time. And for us, we want to benefit from it. So we agree that our benefit comes from where? From charging him usage fee for using our share of that property, basically. So that's where we benefit from it. So now every month the customer buys a small share from us. His share continue to increase and our share continue to decrease.
Okay.
And we only charge him usage fee only on our share of that property, basically. So it's like, if you think of it, it's like many times it's like the easiest way. Sometimes people, they look at it as like rent to own. That is the model. But in reality for us, it's like, we're not really a landlord. I don't want you to think of us like a landlord. We are partners and you are just buying our share. That's what.
Yeah, that's what's called declining balance ownership, right? The goal is to buy a home together so that the customer eventually become the homeowner, right? Correct. That's what I'm understanding.
Yes.
So the risk sharing, just to go back a little bit. So there are 3 scenarios based on my understanding. Is in case of foreclosure, in case of natural disaster, and eminent domain. This is banks, they don't share risk, right, in this country.
No, absolutely.
They will come after you as well. If you don't make a payment, they will come after you, correct?
Absolutely. So there's all our commitment, all our contracts is non-recourse commitment.
Okay.
Which
Can you explain non-recourse?
Non-recourse commitment means if you defaulted on your mortgage, we cannot go after your other assets to claim and recover or our what you owe us basically from there. So we sell that property and whatever that is, if that was sold for a loss, we take that loss and we move on with the banks and so on. That's something called recourse commitment, and they can go after your other assets, actually, if you have other assets and so on. And sometimes actually they can go after your salaries. It depends on from state to state and from law to law and so on. So that's the recourse commitment. So guidance, we're partnering with you on that property only. So our commitment with you, if that partnership ends, we cannot go after your other assets because we are not partners with you on your other assets. And you don't owe us money. You are just partnering with us on that specific property. That's number one. Number two is risk sharing when it comes to natural disasters and so on, and eminent domain. Many times, total loss, for example, for properties in say California, I'm giving California, of course, there's Texas.
It's always something in California.
Florida with the hurricanes and so on. So our properties with us, when if there is a total loss for the home, the insurance they come and they want to pay you. There. So that's to pay. But
they usually don't pay you the full value of the house, right?
Yeah, they can definitely not pay you the full value of the house. Some of them they might go out of business actually.
So they may not even pay your claim.
And so on. So as guidance, actually, we take the bear of the loss with you based on our share of that property. There is no single institution, whether they claim that they have Islamic finance or not, they do that. This is beside the conventional mortgage. No one does share that loss with you except Guidance Residential.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well-known fact, actually, what happened in 2008. Those people actually who foreclosed on their homes, the house was underwater and they left the house, the banks took them over. And those people, the economy kind of improved. Those people started finding a job and started making money again. The bank were coming after them, right?
Oh, yeah. They like Florida, for example, and some of these states and so on. The banks, they want the good judgment against them. So they want after this.
They'll follow you. You can change your job. You can change your state.
Yeah.
The bank will come after you. That's one of, I think, the Islamic financing model is what makes it unique, I would say, is because it's a risk sharing.
Yeah.
It's a partnership.
Absolutely.
You share the risk and benefit of home ownership, correct?
100%.
I think that's one of the biggest, mode of Guidance Residential.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, to ensure that you are always Islamically sound, you have to have that assets ownership, the risk sharing. If you have these two, you have the assets you have the I would say the pillars for
Islamic financing as well. Because most people say, "Oh, you're charging me rate, they're charging me interest rate, you're changing the name." I think because people, they forget what's behind the contract, right?
Yeah.
Are we signing into a musharaka contract? Are we signing a contract that is actually sound and Sharia compliant? Or are you just signing a promissory note, which is a conventional bank, right?
Yes.
When it comes to Sharia compliant, as you're saying, it needs to have ownership. Islamic financing needs to own the property to sell it to you to make profit.
Absolutely.
And number two, they need to take a risk on it.
Yes.
Banks
100%.
has no risk at all, right? Based on my understanding, you have a principal, they guarantee the principal no matter what, right?
100%.
And then they charge you interest on top of it.
Yes. Of course, now they take some measurement to secure their liens and so on. And that's what they do.
But on the principle, those guaranteed.
And what they do, but they're looking at the law.
Yes.
You are basically, if anything happens to you, they don't care. The property completely destroyed. They don't care.
Yes.
You owe them the money.
That's true. That's the property is just a collateral. It's not an ownership. They just put it on lien on the property. That's all.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. MashaAllah. Thank you so much for the insight. So another question that we get is, MashaAllah, I love your contract. It sounds to me. I checked with my sheikh. It's amazing. I'm going to go forward with you. What do you need? Do I need a credit? I'm a Muslim. Do I need a credit to qualify for your program? Yeah. What are the guidelines?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you can bypass it. I'm a Muslim, no credit.
I know. Our brother, let's shake hands and so on.
Exactly.
It's that's maybe acceptable at a level of one-to-one, like friends and so on.
Even that. I can't give you $100,000 just because I like you. I need to verify you pay me back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, it's like there has to be for us ways to evaluate our customers.
Yes.
And one of it is definitely we run their credit report, we look at their credit score, and it gives an indications of that person is like, the higher your score is, that means that you are very responsible in payments, managing your financing, and so on. And that help us to understand who are, dealing with you is in there. You remember, because as you mentioned, it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Will you give $100,000 for your cousin, for example, if he is not responsible? No. So that is part of it.
Not my brother.
I don't
talking about cousin.
cousin. Brother, you might, because
well, he has to pay back. We're just joking.
Yes. You need to ask your, isn't there? Yeah. So that's one of the things. And then
how about the income wise? What are the guidelines that is required?
Items, okay. See these 5 items. So we look at 2 years taxes, 2 years W-2s, 2 months bank statements, copy of the last 30 days paychecks, and copy of your ID. We run your credit report. We look how much you want to put down payment and how much you want us to finance. And we evaluate your income compared to your liabilities, and we tell you how much you qualify and pre-approved. And this process now we can get you pre-approved in a few hours. Actually, now.
What would you say for someone say, "Oh, that's what Bank of America asked me"? It sounds like you're the same with Bank of America. What's the reason behind guidance using the system?
Yeah,
to qualify.
So let's put it this way. Bank of America, when they do mortgage, is mortgages, they are facilitating home ownership.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Yes.
Guidance, we facilitate home ownership.
Yes.
So there is no different in that when it comes to facilitating home ownership. It's just like the way they do it is based on a riba-based contracts.
Yes.
And they are actually themselves also a riba-based company.
Yes.
So we don't, why you want to help a riba-based company getting into benefiting from you? And then at the same time, for us, we facilitate home ownership, and the way that we facilitate it, we look at what is acceptable by Sharia laws, and then and of course acceptable by the law of the land, and then we facilitate that for you. And that's how we help you to do this. So these 5 items is to ensure that you are able to being able to afford that house. We will be responsible as well, paying the obligations like buying us back as well. And we do not put you in a harm way. In the past, if you look at the 2008 crash, what happens? Majority of what happens at that time, why? Why do you know? Why do you think that happened?
I mean, back then, everybody can buy a home. If you're breezing, you want to buy a home, you just walk into a bank and get a loan. And what happens is everybody, because those people are also giving them an adjustable rate mortgage. What adjustable mortgage basically is like, you get a very low rate entry for first year or second year of the mortgage, and then third year, your monthly payment could double. Not a lot of people were able to with the economy was not going well as well. A lot of people lost their job, means they put the house on the market. The house was underwater. There was a lot of homes on the market, and that's what happened. I think that's what happened after that. The Obama administration, when they took over, they put a lot of regulation, right? The one we have right now. So based on what you're saying is someone has to have a job, at least for 2 years, right? And they need to have a credit score, which is decent, at least for guidance is 620, right?
Yeah.
And then you also need to put some money in, you have to save up some money to buy a house. Minimum is 3% down.
Yes, as low as 3%.
As low as 3% down.
Yeah. And in the past, or at the time of that horrible things what happened to many American families, is like mortgage companies and banks, they were putting people in harm. Because the way that they were doing it is like customer comes to them, let's say he makes $5,000. Well, $5,000 qualifies you for let's say $200,000, for example, contract. I'm just saying, are you sure you're making 5,000? You don't make 10,000?
Yeah.
So they will ask, because it was just based even on a stated income or some kind of
they will call it ninja loans, no income, no credit.
They don't need to verify anything. So okay, I make 10,000 because in his mind that he's gonna buy a home, but what he doesn't understand that this guy, he's putting him in a harm way and he's gonna default as soon as that rate adjusts.
I think I watched in one documentary that about this the 2008 crash. It's just crazy. Like one bartender actually owns 5 homes. This based on, I mean, that's what happened exactly. Right now, to buy one home, the hassle they have to go through because of the guidelines, actually that's protecting the economy, the real estate industry as well. Because those people actually who own homes today, they qualify, they can afford to make the mortgage payments. But they go through a stringent underwriting process that we do every day, right?
Yeah, I'll say I'll call it verifying their information that they can qualify and they will not be harmed in getting into a home. It's really, I don't want to make it sound like it is hard to qualify. No, it's easy to qualify.
Yes.
But based on your real income, not just based on any income that you come and state and so on. The income that is showed and so on, that is where, so when you buy that home, you have that peace of mind, inshallah, you will afford it because it has been calculated correctly for you to be able to succeed, inshallah, and make your home.
Excellent, mashallah. So in this current market, like say for someone who's just jumping into the market first time ever, so what are the options the guidance offer and what kind of program do we offer for first time home buyers for them to help them get into home ownership?
Actually, we have multiple programs. Just first, there's down payment assistance. Basically, you can get up to around $2,500 actually in down payment.
If
you're a first home buyer, you need to qualify for that. Of course, your account executive can help you with that. And then there are even some programs that we work with certain cities, certain counties, and so on, where you can qualify even from the city and the county and so on, qualifying for some of these down payment. And of course, there's many of them in the States. Isn't there? But there are some of them that we're able to establish with some of these cities or some of these companies, and we can help you with that, definitely.
Absolutely. So, as you know, this is an election season. So we are actually in the last stretch, the last week of 2024 presidential election, where we have Hillary, what's the name? Kamala Harris. Oh, I'm in trouble. Kamala Harris and then President Donald Trump are facing. So, as someone an expert in real estate and home financing industry, what do you expect? Because Kamala has been talking about her policies, saying that she's going to be offering $25,000 for first-time home buyers credit. She have a lot of plans. It looks like President Trump, not so much. He want to put a lot of tariff on the economy. Any imported good is going to be. He's planning to put 100% tariff, which I believe is going to increase income. It's going to increase the price on us, on consumers, American consumers. What is your intake on this? What do you expect their impact on residential mortgage and also residential financing and real estate?
You see, personally, I think all of these talks are empty talks.
Okay.
Because unless it's a laws and becomes it's a promises, and
But don't you think the president also makes a difference, though? Don't you think so?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I was going to that. She has a good plan.
Yes.
So, for example, to put that $25,000 people say that is it going to be implemented? Who knows?
Okay.
And what's the impact on home prices, for example, when now many people qualifies or get that down payment assistance? Is that going to impact the increase in the value of the property? That can be also a reason, because now more people can afford and compete to the same houses in the market.
Yes.
So that is it has to be taken into consideration.
So a lot of people actually saying that she giving $25,000 to first time home buyers is just going to end up in the seller's pocket, because seller's going to increase the home prices.
And that's
it's going to increase inflation. Actually, also saying, what do you think of that?
It can be true, but at the same time, it's helping the customer getting into a home, and instead of keep renting.
Yes,
that is something. And Trump, I promise you one thing, that he previously bullied the feds to lower the rates. So I'm
Yeah,
sure that he's going to be pushing
the
into
rate
lowering
cut.
rates cuts and so on.
Hmm.
And so he was really harsh on them.
Yes,
So that can be beneficial also for
for the
that
industry.
real industry. So each one of them has his own
Hmm.
strategy, I will say.
Hmm.
Kamala, for example, Democrats, they don't like to interfere.
Yes.
Trump, no, hands on everything.
Okay.
I think that's his strategy and so on. And he likes to be.
So shall we say that if President Trump come into the office, we should expect a lower rate? And what does that looks like for
I don't
buyer?
say that. I'm just saying,
Yes.
but because rates in general, it looks like Feds are tending to lower it anyway.
Yes.
That's their what they're looking at. That's like they're saying is like within the next 12 months, we can lower the rate more and more. And that is basically the trend. Most likely that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Maybe he will help to speed
I
up
see.
the process a little bit.
So
But
do you say based on this, do you say that it's a good idea for someone to wait buying home or jump in right now when the rates are higher and home price actually right now the market is cooled off a little bit, more like it's a buyer's market compared to what it was just 6 months ago right now. Homes are staying on the market. Buyers can get a credits from the seller as well and lower the monthly the property purchase price as well. What would you say is the strategy for first-time home buyers? Because I would say 90% of guidance customers are first-time home buyers, right? What's best strategy for them to achieve home ownership?
if you can afford to buy, buy. Period. I'll start with that. If you can afford to buy, buy. Why? Because since the 60s, if you look at the real estate, it has been going up.
Absolutely.
Then we have dipped a little bit, 2 to 3 years,
Yes.
and it goes up.
It's always up.
So, and rent, if you look at it, also has been going up.
Yes.
So what you're paying rent today, think of it 5 years down the road.
Yes.
Are you going to be paying the same exact rent or more?
No.
And if you're 10 years down the road, what about 15 years down the road? So the rent is going to continue to increase.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if you get into a mortgage, this is the maximum you pay for now.
Yes.
And the only way for it is goes down when the rate, so you can refinance. Like, for example, now say, let's say the average rate currently, let's say around 7%. Just making,
Okay.
for example. So rate is expected to drop to 6, and then to drop to 5, and so on. So now, if you buy a house now, within a year or so, you can refinance it, and then you reduce your monthly payment. Basically, that is something for sure. So you are more settled, basically, as in your monthly payment. But if you wait and the rate drops, what happens is what? More people will be able to qualify for the same house that you want to buy.
Yeah.
Okay. Which basically create what? Bidding war between you and another person, or the seller will start asking, oh no, I did not get only 3 offers, I got like 7 offers, I got 10 offers. So now I can ask maybe for additional 20, 30,000.
Yes.
So why paying 50? Personally, I think if you don't buy now and you can afford it and you want to buy next year, most likely you're going to end up paying, I think, between $50,000 to $100,000 more if you wait. But if you buy now and refinance in a few months down the road, I think you just paying the difference for that rate, which is like $5,000-$6,000 slightly, or $3,000, depends on what's the value of that your property.
Yeah.
And you just refinance it, and then you have secured your home.
Makes sense. I mean, that's the best strategy is buy today, lock the house, get into the house, and then it's up to you to control the house and what you want to do with the house, right? That's a strategy.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So just to sum it up, it's my last question of our podcast. So where do you see the future of Islamic financing in the US? And also, what is guidance future or vision for the future generation to continue to provide Islamic financing for the youth, for the millennials, for the Gen Zs? What is guidance offering? What is guidance's vision in the future, inshallah, as Islamic financing pioneer?
Yeah. First, for what do we see the Islamic finance growing? I think it's going to grow more and more.
Yes.
I really think that we have not even scratched the surface for reaching out and educating the Muslim community. There is an alternative way to own a property without dealing with riba, without dealing with committing that major sin in Islam for the Muslim community is in their mind. And you don't have to stay renting, or you don't have to go and commit. So there's an alternative for you. I think there's plenty of communities out there.
Yes.
And we know that the second generation and third generation now is growing up.
Yes.
They are getting married. So there are more Muslims are coming into the market that they want to buy and so on, and connecting with, as you said, the millennials, the Gen Zs, and so on.
Yes.
We're actually hiring from them, Sophia. From the younger, if you are, I'm telling you here, I'm hiring California, Washington, and Oregon, so you can come and let us know. Absolutely, we'll be more than happy to look at your
absolutely. So you're saying that we need the Gen Zs to help the Gen Zs, basically,
absolutely.
right?
We are hiring. Look at you. You're a millennial, Russia.
We have Gen Zs as well in our
and
team.
now the Gen Zs is coming in, is in there, and definitely, there is nothing better than to be basically bring people from the same generation to connect and communicate with us, so they can educate them better, because they speak to them within their their language. I will say it's
absolutely.
like they can connect better, they can create better, and I think that is definitely is going to be and guidance as well. We are developing another couple of new products, inshallah. Hopefully that's going to be
absolutely
coming in, inshallah. It will be very helpful, inshallah, and will connect more with the younger generation, I would say, inshallah, more and more.
Perfect. Well, Munder, thank you so much for being with us. I hope the audience has benefited from this, learned a lot from this. We shed a light on Islamic financing and how Guidance Residential Program works. Of course, like and share. If you have any question for us to discuss next time on this podcast, type in the comment box. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.